Margaret had always believed family was about showing up. When her son Ethan got engaged to a wonderful woman named Vanessa, she was thrilled. She offered to help pay for the wedding, contributing nearly $15,000 from money she had spent years saving. She helped choose decorations, attended planning meetings, and even spent weekends assembling invitations. Though she tried not to interfere, she felt honored to be included. Then came the announcement. "We've decided on a destination wedding in Hawaii," Ethan said over dinner. Margaret's smile froze. Everyone in the family knew she was terrified of flying. Not nervous, terrified. 25 years earlier, severe turbulence during a business trip had left her shaken. She hadn't stepped on an airplane since. She had attended therapy, read books, and even visited airports to try to overcome the fear, but nothing had worked. "You know I can't fly," she said quietly. Vanessa exchanged a glance with Ethan. "We know, Mom," Ethan replied. "But this is our dream wedding." Margaret waited for more. Perhaps they had found a cruise package. Perhaps there was another way. Instead, Ethan shrugged. "We figured you'd either get over it or just watch the live stream." The words landed like a slap. Watch the live stream. After all the years she'd spent supporting him, after helping pay for the wedding, after attending every soccer game, every graduation, every milestone, watch the live stream. That night, Margaret sat alone in her living room, replaying the conversation. The issue wasn't Hawaii. The issue wasn't flying. It was that nobody had even bothered to consider her. Not once. The following week, Ethan called. "Hey, Mom, we need the final payment for the venue." Margaret took a deep breath. "Ethan, before we discuss money, I need to ask something." "Sure." "Did it ever occur to you that choosing a location you knew I couldn't reach might hurt me?" Silence. Then came an answer she wasn't expecting. "I honestly didn't think it was that big of a deal." And there it was. Not malice. Something almost worse. Thoughtlessness. Margaret realized her son hadn't intended to hurt her. He simply hadn't stopped long enough to think beyond his own wishes. For 2 days, she wrestled with what to do. Part of her wanted to withdraw every penny. The temptation was strong, the money was leverage, and she knew it. But she also knew that if she pulled her support now, the wedding would become a battlefield neither side would forget. Eventually, she invited Ethan and Vanessa to lunch. When they arrived, she handed them an envelope. Inside was a check for the remaining amount she'd promised. Both looked relieved. Then Margaret spoke. "I am honoring my commitment because my word matters." Ethan smiled, until she continued. "But I need you to understand something." The smile faded. "This isn't about money. It's about consideration. You made a decision knowing it excluded me, and neither of you thought it was worth discussing beforehand." Neither spoke. Tears gathered in Vanessa's eyes. Margaret continued. "I'm not withdrawing my support because I want your marriage to start with joy, not resentment. But I won't pretend this didn't hurt." For the first time, Ethan looked genuinely ashamed. "Mom, I'm sorry." And this time she believed him. Weeks passed. The wedding plans continued. Then, one evening, Ethan arrived at her house carrying a folder. "What's this?" Margaret asked. He sat beside her. "A solution." Inside were train schedules, hotel reservations, and ferry information. The trip would take 4 days. It would be long. It would be exhausting, but it would get her there without stepping onto an airplane. "I spent 3 weeks figuring it out," Ethan said. Margaret stared at him. "You did?" He nodded. "I should have done it from the beginning." For the first time since the announcement, she smiled. Months later, when Margaret finally arrived at the island after her cross-country journey by rail and sea, Ethan was waiting at the dock. The moment he saw her, he ran forward and hugged her tightly. "I wasn't getting married without you here." Margaret laughed through tears. The wedding itself was beautiful. Not because of the ocean, not because of the scenery, but because somewhere along the way, her son had learned an important lesson. Love isn't measured by grand gestures. It's measured by whether you're willing to make room for the people who matter. And in the end, Margaret didn't withdraw her financial support. She found something better. a way to make her son understand why respect mattered in the first place.